Hello, and thank you for joining me for Tuesday Tea. How are you doing today?
Yes, doing well. So happy to see you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. So I just kind of want to tell the origin story of how I know who you are because some people will say, "Oh, Connecticut's a small state. Like, shouldn't you all know each other?" But you are active on social media, and so I saw a couple um, of podcasts that you did, and I listened. I was like, "Why don't I know her?" Um, so that's when I reached out and I realized that you had trained with Jana Glass
Yes.
of Brainspotting. So I said, let me reach out because I just see brilliance. And I was hoping that you would introduce yourself to us, where you work out of, who you service, and um, what your passions are.
Oh, I love that, Tiana. Thank you. And P.S., it was fabulous to meet you in person on Thanksgiving.
Yes!
um, my name is Tawanna Woolfolk, and I'm a by trade licensed clinical social worker, coming into my 21st year of practice. And I reside out of Connecticut, and I'm licensed in the state of Connecticut to practice clinical mental health, but I also provide coaching, consultation, and advanced clinical supervision statewide as well as nationally and internationally, which is just a joy and honor to show up for my fellow colleagues. And I also recently became EMDR certified and currently a consultant in training. So that's very exciting. Also looking forward to level 2 training and certification in Brainspotting with Jana in March. So super excited about that. I am a big fan of Touchstone Institute and hope to be connected forever. So I think you asked me something else, but I want to make sure I just pause for a moment and see, just kind of. Actually, you're muted. I can't hear you.
Sorry about that.
No
So my
worries.
only other question was, who do you see? What client base do you have the passion for seeing?
This is going to sound really cheesy and corny, but everybody.
I love that.
I'm, I, um, uh, yeah, I can't lie. Everybody, when it comes to race, age, gender, ethnicity, sexuality, gender identity, it doesn't, political, or it doesn't matter. If there's a human that neurocepts enough safety to step into this healing space or learning and educational space, I'm taking it on. And it is a joy and delight to show up for them and to steward them towards their deepest healing. I'm most known for really stewarding my folks towards deep healing when it comes to relational, developmental, and attachment trauma. That's particularly my individuals as well as my couples and families. I am a big advocate for not only bringing folks into generative community with self and healing the war zone within, but also then bringing people into generative, safe healing and connection with each other. So I often work within systems and among systems, which is not, you don't hear that often. There's a lot of controversy around that, but I'm a shiny unicorn when it comes to that. I'm
And
guilty.
isn't that, I mean, that's like the reality of where people live. They don't, we can't just fix a person and not consider everything else that all of the other systems that they're a part of in their lives.
Agreed. And when I tell you the looks on my dear people's face, especially my dear clients that are therapists, when I
Yes.
say when I say to them, to really round out your healing, we're going to have to do some healing circles with your people, right? And their eyes get big and they're like, over my dead body, right? And and a year later, and we're doing healing circles with people they never thought that they could imagine
Wow.
entering into healing. It is game changing. That's what I'm about. I'm really about changing the game and narrative and truly decolonizing the healing and healthcare and educational spaces.
Mm.
And that is just a gift. And I feel so honored. That makes me emotional.
Mm.
Yeah, that's how I'm choosing to lead and live. And some folks know this, some don't, but my dear fiance Ebony has really anchored me and supported me in this, that I've chosen not to bear my own biological children. I've chosen to mother and father through healing,
Mm.
and my clients are my babies, and that's how I'm living. That's how I'm dying.
That's amazing. And I find you just so, ever since I became aware of your existence, I find you so giving in time and experience in these social media spaces where I love the vibe because I also love that of like sharing information, supporting each other. But I feel like there's a particular drive that you have to just share with colleagues. So I want to hear a little bit about that. And then I want to hear about why brain spotting.
Yeah. Thank you. You're gonna make me really emotional. I'm emotional because it means a lot that you noticed,
Mhm.
and you're not only noticing, but you're choosing to say something. And often in our society, we see a lot of damn things, but we don't say
Yeah,
anything for all kinds of
absolutely.
reasons. So I appreciate you and the gift of your noticing.
Thank you.
And I give because I have my life back. And, when I've lived to die for a long time and was enemies with my own existence, to know
Mhm.
differently and to know of the life-saving generosity of others, I only know this way, which is to lead in abundance. And
Ah,
that doesn't mean that I am not self-full and of service to self when it comes to caring for myself. Um, that's actually what allows me to lead with such generosity and a giving heart. But I do because I can. And unfortunately, I've been a victim of a lot of gatekeeping um,
mm, mhm.
when it comes to advancing in my career and education, whether it's by fiscally, that the access is unattainable because I don't have the money.
Right.
I'm choosing to heal debt and create wealth. That means I'm living without credit or loans. And so
I
I'm
love
only
that.
right. I'm only putting my money, like what I'm making. That's what I got. And so and so or whether it's people don't understand me because of my shininess and my
Mm,
neurodiversity, and um uh I might be too much for them, and or they get it twisted and think that I'm trying to show up in a particular way, which then, because they're not taking accountability for their own biases and unhealing,
right.
that gets projected onto me. And I've had to leave certification groups for EMDR because of that
Wow.
discrimination and bias. So I give because I can and I get to, and
Mm,
it's my way of radically trying to shift the game and change the narrative on what is possible and what we can do. That we can have boundaries and we can be in dual relationships with each other because that's just society. And we can be anchored in safety and equity and the ethics of it all, but not self-abandon our humanity and ourselves and each other. So I know that was a lot, but Does that make sense?
I mean, that's a lot. And that's also important because one of the things that I see talked about a lot in these spaces is you can't have dual relationships. That's a dual relationship. I'm like, who are you seeing or where do you live that you can manage to not have multiple relationships with people who you might be in therapy with, right? So it's just more of this conversation of how do we do that ethically and supporting and protecting
Yes.
our clients. So one of the things I said to my clients is like, I'm gonna see you at the grocery store.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna say hi. If you say hi to me, I'll say hi to you. Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
but I'm not going to, especially when I think about the BIPOC perinatal space in this state, it's really
Mm.
small.
It's very small.
Yeah. So if you're a therapist who needs a therapist, it's really like what you said about creating and maintaining those boundaries. And they're not always what is in a book.
No, it's co-created. It is. I I think one of the, and I own this bias, but I think one of the ways we get it twisted in just our society when it comes to boundaries is, I'm putting them on you. I'm claiming, and
Mm,
I'm, as opposed to defining together and
yes.
taking healthy accountability for what I'm comfortable with and uncomfortable with, as opposed to projecting it out and making it your thing or making you have to contort or not to me. But we co-create this. We define this together. And our calling around how we do this is not a conference call. As long as we are good, we
Yes.
are good.
Mm, mm. Putting it on a t-shirt. Um, so, and tell me about your journey with brain spotting, because that's originally the context in which I
Yeah.
reached out to you. So I was like, oh, you're a brain spotter? I thought I knew all the brain spotters. So bring me into that world.
Well, yeah. Well, thank you for just being open and to the universe, and because what a gift it's been to be in community and get to know you, and have you be my neighbor as well. So first of all, I'm going to get emotional because I just can't help it. When I think, and Jane is going to like blush when she sees this, and Mara might as well, but might too. But my financial advisor, same thing. He blushes every time I talk about him because I can't talk about him without getting emotional. But it's the same with when I think about the Touchstone Institute and our dear Vanessa. Like, first of all, I just
Mm.
gotta say this. I gotta give them their flowers, and y'all aren't paying me for this. Y'all not. I mean, this is not solicited, but I need folks to know something, that when we think about, I'm coming in 21 years in the game,
Mm,
and it matters to me. I came into brain spotting when I literally, like, 2023 was my first full year of only Sacred Ground Institute being my practice, my moneymaker. No
wow.
more 5 jobs, right? Since I was 16. Like, Sacred
Mm,
Ground Institute literally was my bread and butter. So that meant no use of credit cards, no
mm,
loans. That meant I had to be really discerning of where I put my money.
mm,
And so that meant for training as well. And so just know it was so, I was riddled with my own shame, and going down the demoralization shame spiral when I approached Touchstone about, like, hey, so I'm financially insecure.
mm.
So yes, I have a successful practice, but that doesn't translate to liquidity in terms of fiscal
Oh,
liquidity.
absolutely.
And so it did matter being able to come to an institute that, it's about business, but it's also about being in the business of humanity and education. And
Mm,
so I appreciated, one, Touchstone's equity and access kind of orientation when it came to pricing, as well as fiscal flexibility. Of course, that's
mm,
all on a case by case basis, but just as a whole, I mean, I just find that it's just accessible fiscally. Second, I really appreciated the touch. I didn't feel like it was this kind of big corporation that, you know, and I was just a number. I was just like dollars and cents. I felt like somebody. I felt like
Mm.
I mattered. And not only did I feel that in my process of registering and my asking questions, because that's really like really vulnerable to like say,
Mhm.
to ask for help, to ask
Right.
for, right? That I don't care who you are. It's a really vulnerable thing. And so not only was the process just so humane and so compassionate, um, I then land into the 5-day training space.
Mm.
And man, hmm, I got to grab my squishy for this one because this is, I, let me tell you, I just kept, I was glad I was on mute because I literally kept whispering to myself, like, where has this been all my life? Like, first of all,
Mm.
where's Jana been all my life? Because I this year my growth edge is getting into the training and education and public speaking space, and I yearned for modeling of how to
Mm.
do that equitably, how to be anchored in a space that honor diversity, equity, and inclusion, not just wordplay, but truly in practice. And the rhythm, the anchoring, the intentionality behind how Touchstone and how Jana like really anchored and shaped the training was breathtaking. And it was one of the best.
Mm.
I've taken many great ones, but it was one of the best 5-day trainings that
Wow.
I've taken in my career, my history. And that is, I need folks to understand that why that matters, because neuroception of safety has to be had before social engagement can occur. So
Mm.
that means before learning can occur, before connecting with your neighbor in a virtual space or in person can happen. We must neurocept, right? And neuroception is a sensory system connected to that 24/7 surveilling that we are doing when we come into any space.
Right.
And when you are, it's just a thing, when you are a individual of color or of any other marginalized social cultural, you know, identity, you can't help but to immediately notice
Mhm.
that you're another, that you are just the other. And so it matters for the trainer to take their time and investing in securing the safety of the space
Mm.
so that you can melt into it. Your nervous system can really be so optimally functioning that you're there for what you're there for, which is the beautiful learning
Mm.
and participation and engagement. So, and so so that's the second piece. And third, just the material and the philosophy behind how it originated, you know, the anchoring and how David Grand came to brain spotting, how it evolved, and then what it is truly a practice of. Um, and so that was just kind of just the cherry on the top. And so with that, I'll pause. I know I said a lot there. So.
One of the things that I will say has was really beautiful to watch is that we came up with our social justice principles with our core values, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jana came on and she already had values that matched our values. So, so wow, what a beautiful marriage of all of the things. But yeah, so when we're coming in and we're trying to focus on the decolonization of these skills, and we're trying to also like really work with our clients in that way, I feel like it can be so powerful to be in spaces where not only are people trying to do it right, but when the people don't do it right, they're just like, call me in. If you have the spoons, call me
Oh,
in.
it's everything. I'm getting chills as you're saying that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's because we are definitely going to make mistakes, but then we have
We
this
meant to. We get
process
to.
of Yeah, we want to mend, um, we want to get better
Yes.
every time, and we want to learn from
And what
that.
an
So
honor that should be for any of us.
yes, I mean, I feel like that calling in culture is just makes everybody better.
Hmm. Yes. Yes.
Ah.
Yeah.
So then you decided to get trained in EMDR. How did
Yeah.
that happen?
Yeah. So I got trained in actually EMDR before brain spotting.
Wow.
So yeah, yeah. So it just I got trained in safe EMDR, somatic attachment focused EMDR, and there are many versions of that, as we know, many kind of innovations of EMDR, um, and it just made sense as someone that I'm trying to evolve as a traumatologist, and to me, no one way, approach, modality owns the block on healing. We should
Mhm.
be so honored to want to learn how to evolve our language and fluency of how to show up for our beautiful people. Because truly, healing is not one size fits all nor linear. And I want to do anything in my power to be checking my ego around that.
Mhm.
And so it's an honor to stretch and grow. So I got trained in EMDR first and then brain spotting, I think within the same or the following year. And what I really loved about, I mean, there's beauty in awe, right? I've been practicing for a long time. So truly my practice is truly integrative and on purpose, because that makes me multilingual, if you so to speak, as a practitioner. And I want to be multilingual. That is where the
Mhm.
mastery is. And being able to ethically, safely, humanistically, and always in a anchored in attunement with my person or people, know how to flex and pivot, and what to be able to bring into the space. And so it just made sense for me to add brain spotting to that. And what I particularly appreciated about, out of all trainings and different approaches and modalities I've learned, brain spotting is one of the few that explicitly within its teachings, and this might sound inelegant, but I'm just going to call a thing, within its teachings, gently or not, encourages the therapist to check their ego. I love that within the principles of brain spotting, as you are being taught it to fidelity, requires that the therapist, the practitioner, have implicit trust and faith in their person's capacity to heal. And second, we can't F it up. I don't know if I can swear on here, but I'm kind of a sweary person.
You
But
absolutely can.
okay, I gotta say, we can't fuck it up, right? And how relieving to say to our dear person, listen, you can't fuck it up. Nothing's by mistake. Every
I love
twitch,
that.
every eye wobble, every gulp, every swallow, anything, any twitch. Let's not get it twisted. And let's not go down the spiral of, should this be a thing? Is this? No, nothing is by mistake. It is all grist for the mill. It is all beautiful data. I love that within the teachings and core principles of brain spotting, that I, as a practitioner, as I am getting taught it, or I'm anchored and geared up with that. And I love that, because one of the pitfalls that any of us, dear practitioners, fall into is, we can easily fall into performativeness, and we can be wedded to an agenda and an outcome of getting it right, and potentially it becomes distracting and can throw us off the healing path, particularly when you're learning. That's a lot of pressure to like show up to something, be in the position of learning. That's so vulnerable, but then be wedded to an agenda and be shooting on ourselves of, well, that, what about this, and what if this isn't right? And so why I love it is because it encourages you. It almost forces your hand to like check your ego, like let's sit in the pocket of like, your person's got this. They can't F it up. Be right. Be in the tail of the comet. They're in the head, right? A step ahead by being a step behind. And what I inherently, and I don't know if David Grand meant this or not, but what I also really love is how it really aligned with the backbone of my practice, which is really anchoring in my way that I like to teach it, teaching mindfulness in an embodied way. Brainspotting to me is a beautiful way to really help my folks flex that mindfulness embodied practice. And I love how it just infuses that. And it also, again, it's a parallel process because, again, it only works efficaciously when the practitioner is also embodied in that way. So a lot. I'm going to pause.
I love that. And I feel very similarly, I feel to the grounding and mindfulness in EMDR. And the reason I say that is
Yep.
I have to walk the walk if my clients are going to be doing things with me or buying it, that I'm not just preaching it.
It's true, because their parts will call BS on it.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. And they have the right to, right?
They do.
So I love that about having just a kind of a check-in with ourselves to make sure that we're offering these things in a way that feels authentic to the client.
And in full consent. Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
I love that.
So tell us about what things you have coming up about your practice, how consultees can reach you if they are looking at needing someone to guide them in that process, how people can refer clients to you. And also, can you talk a bit about this situation where I feel like you also offer intensives? And I imagine that you do that for both Brainspotting and EMDR, but I shouldn't be presumptuous. So please
That's
just give us all the
okay. That's all right,
details.
my love. So, and I imagine when you post this that you'll also, because I'll email you all my links and
Oh,
everything.
yeah, we'll send all the
Um,
links.
but yeah, so my website is www.sacredgroundinstitute.com. And folks can reach me through there. I'm also on Instagram, Sacred Ground Institute, YouTube as well. I just launched my YouTube channel for Sacred Ground. Slow and going. I'm having fun conceptualizing the kind of content I want for that. That'll be more longer form content. So I will definitely make sure to equip you with that, and as well as my email. And currently, actually on Monday, the 29th, I will be with my dear colleague, Dr. Jenny Hughes. We will be doing our second quarterly placeholder on, it will be a symposium on racial trauma and vicarious trauma that is free to all trauma therapists, healers, educators, providers, and open to the public. And I can also just kind of send you the information for that, but that is posted all over social media. But folks can reach out to me. I can give my personal email, which is T as in Tom, M as in Mary, W as in Walter, 6328@gmail.com. Happy to send out that information. We've got almost 100 people signed up so far for that, and it's a live virtual event, and we are just super excited about that. And I've got lots of kind of upcoming training and speaking engagements coming up. So that's very exciting. Doing some partnerships and collabs with my dear friend, Mara Houston, who's a licensed clinical social worker and certified EMDR therapist and consultant. So just like beautiful partnerships happening. And that's what I'm about. I will be doing I got chosen to be one of several speakers for Black History Month for Black Speakers Rock. And so that's exciting. I'm going to be recording that this weekend. Lots of wonderful things. And currently forming my consultant and training offerings that I'll be launching in February, March. And so folks can just reach out to me with any inquiry through my Facebook, through my website and my email. And so just very excited. And I have a Psychology Today profile as well that's easily accessible under my name, Tawanna Woolfolk. And yeah, so just super excited. And I'm currently partnering with Lizzie Wiggins, and I've been assisting EMDR basic trainings with her, with EMDR restorative consulting. We have our second weekend tomorrow, so that's been a blast. And also enjoying working with my main EMDR consultant, Dr. Tracy Rodriguez. It truly has taken a village to get this shiny unicorn where she's at, and we ain't stopping.
I love the shiny unicornness of it. And I really think that this is where we find the magic.
Agreed.
So I so appreciate that you took time out of your day to touch base with me, to explain what you're doing. And I hope that we see you more frequently at Touchstone and that we just continue this
Looking forward to it.
conversation.
Y'all are gonna get tired of me. You know, I'll be a pest. And I hope to come back for a second one where I can maybe talk more in depth about how I utilize Brainspotting and EMDR into particularly my advanced clinical supervision intensives. That game changer.
Already wrote it down.
Particularly Brainspot. Yes, it is just game changing for my dear clinicians. So I'd love to be able to talk in more long form about that with y'all.
I think that sounds amazing. Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure. Take good care, and we hope to see more of you soon.
You got it, my dear. Take care.